attraction, the main event. And we're going to talk about the rest of this series of Fight Night, starring Kevin Hart and Samuel L. Jackson, Million Dollar Heist. So we watched the pilot episode, we enjoyed it, and we decided to binge it. And now we're going to go into it. We're going to try to stay on track. There's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to try to stay on track and talk about the story overall. And then we'll dive into scenes, characters, and give some final thoughts. So yeah, how did you all feel about the overall story? How it all played out? It transitioned, tied things together. Spoiler alert! Right now, there's spoilers.
Oh, we talking about it.
Yep.
We're talking about it.
Think, Jake?
I mean, overall, I felt like initially, like when we watched that first episode, I kind of expected like a little bit more of like a thematic, heavy hitting commentary a little bit more. Like I thought that, and not to say that there wasn't that like sprinkled throughout, but it definitely became more of like a easier to watch, like kind of like on rails, like kind of like it wasn't like the biggest mystery in the world, but it was just fun to watch everybody operate and like how all the paths kept weaving into one another, because just like how they set it up with like the multi panels, starting things out, the whole series is kind of predicated on that idea of like all these pathways just kind of keep crossing, and one storyline like merges into the next and merges into the next basically, and they all kind of come to a head at the end and kind of merge that together. And it's like, I think like having watched the last episode, I think that if you had put a gun to my head in the first episode and said, who do you think is going to live and who do you think is going to die, or who do you think is going to be like redeemed? You know what I mean? Or like, I guess I should put it that way. Like who's going to be like part of like the core, or like what's left? I think I probably could have guessed. I think that it's telestrated pretty heavily throughout.
I think, I agree with you. You definitely wouldn't have been able to do that. When I think about like the plot twist, and I'm gonna say this is the plot twist, if you all agree, is the fact that the officer who is against Chicken gets suspended, and that's what kind of says, all right, now we're gonna twist things up, and they got to work together.
He becomes a hard-boiled cop at that point.
I think there's a couple plot twists, but in there.
Definitely. Yeah, it was. I would say they had some good twists on who had alternative motive in this whole scheme of things. Now, I'm going to tell you, I didn't know where the $1 million heist thing was going to come from.
Right.
I was like, where?
Adding up the jury and stuff. And
yeah, they made it all the way up to $1 million.
Oh, you're talking about fencing stuff. Yeah.
So, I mean, they pulled off a pretty good heist. They had, 4 bags? Well, everybody was supposed to have their own bag. Okay.
And every time somebody came through that door.
Yeah.
Cha-ching!
How big was that basement?
Big enough to hold enough people to give you $1 million in jury.
Yeah. Because they got the house money, they got everybody's jewelry and all their wallets and everything like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
and back then, you weren't carrying a credit card.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So the story progresses toward Chicken and I can't think of the officer's name. Not the actor.
Howard, right?
Was it Howard?
Oh, Hudson.
Howard?
Hudson.
Yeah. So they start working together and everything. And then pretty much it was just. Did you all already know who was the mastermind of all this? Was that
no?
No, I was surprised.
I think about halfway through, I got like an idea. I think there was a scene in like episode 5 or round 5 or whatever, round 6, somewhere in there, where Frank, Samuel L. Jackson's character, had like he threw some disrespect on the Cadillac and onto his dad.
I remember that.
Yeah, and Cadillac was like and that's Terrence Howard's character. He was all like, and I was like, oh, I was like, okay, I see what's up. This is going down.
It almost looked like he was about to cry. I don't know if
I remember what it was, Jay.
Tears in his eyes.
I think he was.
I think it was that he was talking about how his father just followed orders and didn't ask questions.
Right. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and he was throwing some, he was basically talking shit about his dad, and and on top of that, he he was just walking all over him for a while, and then obviously later on he sets up the double cross, blah blah blah, but that was like the last episode when he did the double cross, but yeah.
So the way this was written, which was pretty cool, and I'm gonna ask you a question after I kind of like divide this up. You had like Team Chicken and Hudson, so we'd say Team Detectives, whatever. Team Chicken, and then you had Team Frank Moten, which his henchmen and all them, and then you had Team Heisman, and they all had their own like stuff going on at the same time. And I thought it was really good, really well written. How that everything.
I like how
I had to ask you all, what team would you be on? What did you enjoy? What side did you enjoy the most if you had to pick?
I think if I had to put it in order, I got to go with. When you say
I got my order for sure.
Okay, why don't you go? I'm going to think about it for a second.
All right, so the first order I would be in is I would want to be Frank, them guys first, because they're the people that are in the least danger of dying.
Yeah.
After they got robbed. Yeah, once those guys let them leave the basement alive, they're good. Nothing else is gonna happen to them. That was the worst of it. All right. The next person that I would want to be is Chicken, because he is at least in the spot where he can save himself if he can get the real people that did it. The very last people that I would want to be is the people that did it, because everybody's looking for you.
Well, the thing is,
they look like they had the most fun.
They did, and they didn't know what they were getting themselves into, honestly. They got told by somebody else who was hired to do this, and they're just clueless, just holding on to that money the whole time. And what I don't understand is why they didn't just run off with it like they said they were going to.
Because it was two veterans talking to each other.
Yeah.
It was two veterans that had a brotherhood. They were speaking. It was they had a spoken bond, and he wasn't going to screw him over, even though
me and my sister would have been gone.
No, right?
Oh yeah, bro. I'd have been like, sorry, Johnson.
Yeah, I think from like because I guess I didn't understand the assignment exactly, but yeah, I agree with Chris's list is like who I would rather be, because 100%. But
who did you? Which storyline did you enjoy the most? I really like. I'm not gonna lie, I like the heist character.
I was gonna say that.
Me too.
I like the heist guys too.
It was.
I enjoyed them. Yeah. But the ending of them was not what I wanted.
Yeah. They were tragic.
One of the characters.
Pretty vicious.
Yeah. It was tragic for the heist characters, but the heist characters definitely had the most like the most like real world drama kind of happening with them. Like it was very realistic. Like the stakes were high for all of them. They had like they each had like their own perspective in that group, and then the two main guys were like, they were very opposed and sparking off the entire time. That storyline was great. I would say the Chicken storyline, his team gets a lot of points just because of Hudson, of Don Cheadle's character in there, because his arc as like a character where he does go through that transformation of being like straight-laced, basically working for the man, black cop, not liking Muhammad Ali, to kind of becoming cool and liking Muhammad Ali and kind of standing up for himself to full on badass was great. Like, that's what you want to see throughout a series. Like in a way, even though Chicken was the most active and kind of like the main through line, Cheadle's character was kind of like the most active as far as like how he changed and how he impacted the story too.
He was definitely the Renaissance character of it. He was that coming to age.
I caught a couple times where they referenced what they say, this is Chicken Man's show and we're all playing our part. So they almost could have, if there wasn't a bunch of other side stories, this almost could have just been the Ballad of Chicken Man instead of Fight Night $1 Million Heist. You know what I'm saying? If you take the fight out of it and you just do that and just, you're almost following Chicken Man the whole time. But they do have bigger players that come into play here and there. So
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's true.
Um,
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say?
speaking of the fight, can I put something in about that?
Yeah.
That first episode, it made it seem like there was going to be a lot more focus on that fight. So I was ready to see the fight, and then I was very let down on how like horrible that fight was, like shot wise. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
there wasn't a lot of cool like close up combo fight scene. You know what I'm saying? Like
It wasn't.
I don't think
it
they.
wasn't,
I don't think they
crazy.
wanted. I don't think
Right.
they wanted you to focus on that.
Well, I'm just saying like they're calling it up in the first episode a lot, so you would think they put a little bit of more into that fight, but
I think
even
they
for
did
just
it-
one episode.
I think they did it well with, and the way they did it was they gave you the turmoil between being a black cop and trying to just be, people just want to be a cop. You don't want to be a white cop, a black cop, a Chinese
Right.
cop. You just want to be
Mhm.
a cop. But at that time, he was a black cop. So what you saw was Muhammad Ali. That fight was significant because he started to cheer for him when he saw that this fight was defeating like the whitewashness of what that was,
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah, didn't he bring up after the fight? He brought up a time where he was playing, was it basketball or something like that, where they had like when he was in school.
Oh yeah, he told his backstory.
He was talking about
A
little
football.
monologue about
Yeah,
how,
their football team.
was it football team? Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like
Yeah,
the
there's this little
all black team
backstory.
against training up against the starters or whatever.
Yeah, and they
ended
shut
up
the
kicking
they shut the
kicked
game
their
down.
ass so much they turned the scoreboard off, and then
Yeah. And they basically said that the other team, because they started throwing flags on every play against the black team, and
yeah.
basically, I mean, what you see later on, that's what happens, just for real. Like you have the governor show up and basically tell Muhammad Ali, like, okay, it's the last time we're seeing you. Like, get the heck on out of here. And you also had Hudson taking the fall and getting burned as a cop. Just when he was doing, he was kind of on the rise. He was doing a great job, and they burned him because they were like, that's not what we want. We don't want you on the rise. And just like Muhammad Ali taught him, when the governor got in his face and he was putting him on the plane, he had his plate of chicken wings, and he's like, no, I'll be back. He's like, I'm a fighter. That's what I do. He's like, I'll go fight a governor. I don't care.
Yeah.
And what does Don Cheadle do? He kind of continues that, where he's like, you can shut the scoreboard off. I'll play by those rules if you want me to, and I'm still going to win.
Right.
And he did.
Before we get into scenes, I have one
Yeah.
final question for y'all.
Okay.
Did you all? I didn't know. Did you all know this was true story? I mean, I know it said it.
Yeah,
but, I didn't know Hudson and Chicken Man were based off real people.
Yeah,
I
Yeah,
did
they're
not know
still.
that part.
Apparently, they were still like they were friends, or they still are.
Yeah.
Really?
I read a little bit of the backstory. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's
I have to
crazy.
read up on that.
Yeah. At the end of it, they showed
shows
the
the
real-life
picture of 'em.
pictures and everything.
Yep.
Oh, I missed that. I walked it when it went to the final credits. I walked out of the room and I was doing some stuff, so I missed
Yeah,
that.
you missed.
yeah, it's wild.
It had
Yeah.
a
They
couple
pretty
little
much broke
like
down what. Yeah, go on, Corey.
it had a couple little like clips of each character and then what happened to them in real
Oh,
life.
really?
Like I think Chicken Man died in what it said he died in. Was it Chicken Man that died in 2014 or something like that?
Yeah, I
Or
think
was
Chicken
it-
Man died.
JD Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicken Man. I mean,
But-
they were already in their 40s and when that was going
they
on,
had
right?
been-
So I mean,
they had been cool for a long time.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So when we go into scenes, and Corey was talking about one, and Jake was too, and they kind of go together. That night where Muhammad Ali won, and he was just out on the town with
Hudson.
Hudson. That was just cool. Like he was like, "Nah, man,
Yeah.
let's go see your family. I'm gonna go with you." I don't. I
Mhm.
wonder how much of that is true because
Yo, it's probably
that made
really
me
true,
like-
bro.
I know.
That would Muhammad Ali was like that, bro.
That's
I would
just-
believe that.
I feel like I know I've met him once, but I feel like I've met him more than once because he would come to elementary schools around Fort Knox.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
He
I'm
definitely
pretty
did
sure
things
that
in Kentucky. Yeah.
because I remember his hand. I remember putting my hand next to his, and I was like, "Dang, his hand is bigger than my grandpa's," and my grandpa's hand was the biggest hand I'd seen up to that point. Yeah, I remember having that thought.
Yeah. I would believe that Muhammad Ali went to that party. I mean, especially like when you look at the era too. I mean, no one had a cell phone. It's not like, all of a sudden the place is going to get blown up, and him like doing something like that. I mean, it seemed, I mean, that would have been like more of like a fun, like kind of off the trail. So he doesn't have the cameras following him around and the spotlight, even though obviously we know Muhammad Ali in a way relished the spotlight, at least in a way.
And you could tell how he wanted to enjoy Atlanta as a city. He was talking about it early on, and
they believed in
he wanted
it.
to
They believed in it.
He wanted to experience all that he could of Atlanta. So if you take him, take me where you go.
They did. They believed in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So as I ask you all what your favorite, most hated, disliked scenes were and stuff, I want you all to not choose the setup scene. We'll talk about that collectively because I think
the setup scene.
Yeah.
You're talking
the diner.
Oh.
Wait, which one?
All right, so the scene in the diner where it was all fake.
Oh, that.
Okay.
After. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that when we'll get to that. But as we get to that, what scenes did you all enjoy, dislike? What stood out to y'all? Which ones did y'all like?
I liked just about every scene that David Banner and Terrence Howard had. I feel like they were really good characters for their character. You know what I mean? Like they were good actors for their character. They played them well. I enjoyed their screen time.
Okay.
How much do you think Terrence Howard isn't he known for like improv in a lot of scenes and stuff like that, kind of throwing his own thing in?
I don't know.
Because some of the stuff that he was doing just made me laugh. Like towards the end when he comes up behind Chicken Man and he kind of grabs up around him, like I can see Kevin Hart like almost busting out laughing because he's just being too like
who knows, man.
there, and he pulls that knife out. Like
acting's a profession, just like basketball or football is. They can do stuff on the court, just like the set, just like people can do stuff on the court, man.
I love it.
I'll give you. And Jake kind of knows because he's worked with me, and I'm not like obviously the bee's knees or anything. But my style is I have my line, and I'm like, all right, this is what I want said or done. And I look at Jake and I say, this is what we're going for. Do what's organic.
Yeah.
And that's what Jake does, and that's what I want, because like I don't want it to be this a word that Jake doesn't normally say coming off. And
you don't want him to be uncomfortable. Give him it's almost like shared experience. You have your experience of writing, he has his experience of acting, and so you all bring those two together, and that's what you come out with.
It kind of depends on what you're looking for, you know what I mean? I mean, like some sets and some characters, like you have like that looseness where it's like you can just bring like more of like more of that improv feel, or you can like kind of rotate words around or something like that. But it's like, that's like basically like the style between like Soderbergh, who's like really known for like bringing out, great performances from like different actors or even non-actors like Sasha Grey, for example. He did well. I mean, that performance was what it was, but or like David Fincher, who it's over and over and over again. He's almost going to beat the performance out of you because he's looking for it to be as close to like real world flat and like, try to get like everything word perfect as much as possible. And it just kind of depends on what you're looking for. And I think that like with like Trey, I mean, you're not a writer first. So I think that you also find your scripts to be less precious. And, I mean, obviously like for writers, like they can be very, very anal because they spent all their time like writing that. And so they want this to come out from their vision. But ultimately speaking, it is the actor's job to kind of create that third dimension to what's on the page. And that's like Wolf's, when we watched that was a great example when we were talking about that, where it's like that script was threadbare, but Clooney and Pitt, even though it wasn't that deep of a movie, they brought depth to the moments. Like they did the heavy lifting of like the in between the lines. So yeah, I mean, I think you could definitely see some of that on display here. And I think for particular people in particular parts, I think there was probably more room for improv, and there probably were some surprise play there. And I think that you could see like that ease of like two actors working together when you looked at like Samuel L. Jackson and Don Cheadle in the back seat with Taraji P. Henson driving, where they're going to the last part. And there was just this ease between the two actors and how they interacted with each other. And I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, right. They were on like Avengers together. They did, they worked on movies together. Yeah. So you have two veterans that trust each other, probably having fun, and they know each other personally. And it's like, that during that, they just got right into that fight. They probably improv'd a couple lines, and then she just kind of threw herself in there. So, so I agree with you. I think that some of that's fun.
I think one of my, I wouldn't say a
my
favorite
audio good?
scene.
I got a complaint about my audio.
You were a little quiet, a little muffled, quiet, but not terrible. You're probably not as loud as us over here.
One of my favorite, not scenes, I guess.
It's in the camera now, Trey.
Yeah, your mic is in the
Trey, your mic's in the camera.
There you go. Yeah.
Is that Anna? Doing?
I'm gonna let you all go on. I'll be right back.
But
okay, that's funny. What were you saying, Corey?
One of my favorite scenes, I guess you could say, was just Lamar, who is Frank's bodyguard, right?
He was my favorite, bro.
He was cool.
All of his scenes, he almost made me think of like Michael Myers or something like that.
He was menacing.
Everything that he does is he's not afraid of nothing. And his scenes are really kind of almost funny at times because he's just so like vicious.
Stoic, bro.
Like the very first,
I'm about
the
business.
very first one that really made me laugh was when he had the shotgun and he just in his underwear and he just blows that dude away with that shotgun and he just flies back. And then like when he's running through the woods with the guns, like it's just like he's always showing up. He's never hurt. He always just like Michael Myers. He comes out of nowhere. He shows up. He kills people.
Yeah.
Like so I kind of clicked those two together. I thought that was kind of fun.
You know who he made me think of actually more so? Terminator. Because there's the part where first off, I mean, he's like yoked. Obviously. Bro. But there was the part when after like they try to like take over from the robbers or whatever in the basement. And then, Frank is like, Marv, he's like, he lets the guy go and then they start to run. And then Frank just looks at him and just nods. And then he's just like, and just starts chasing him up there. And I was like, they just said that they all have guns. They just said they're going to blow your head off if you chase him. And he does not care. He knows he's going to catch them. He knows he's going to kill them.
No fear.
Let's go.
No fear at all.
Doesn't care.
Let's go into characters and y'all tell me if I'm too loud or better or not now. But
wait, I'm sorry, Trey. Real quick, can I just say a scene that I didn't like just because we didn't get into those?
I didn't. Yeah, I thought.
Sorry about that.
So if y'all got scenes, let's go through them.
Yeah, and I think because my favorite scene, I think still to this day, was from the first one where it's like they're at the lake house and there's like the senator, Muhammad Ali and Hudson and that dynamic that was going on between them. I loved it. I love that whole setup. But the scene that I really didn't like, and it's not that it was like poorly done necessarily, but it was when Vivian, Taraji P. Henson's character did the striptease, like the forced striptease in the basement. I understood what they were trying to do with it, but it felt out of place with everything else in it. And tonally, it was just kind of weird. Like, it was just like, everybody was just kind of like flat faced. And then like the biggest like connection that you kind of had between the two, anybody in the crowd was like Chicken Man, Kevin Hart, like just kind of looking like kind of puppy dog at her. And I thought she did a great job. I thought Taraji P. Henson did a great job with it because, I mean, she really got into like the movements, and then she was very emotional, like when she kicked her shoe at the guy and then threw her top at him. But it just didn't have like the grit of the degrading embarrassment of what this was supposed to be and why these guys were bad guys, why they were like irredeemable. And at the end, that dude doesn't get redeemed, but he kind of does, and it's, I don't know.
While we're on
I guess
that
now
topic,
that I
go
know
ahead.
the whole story,
Yeah.
I feel like that scene. Yeah, I agree with you. watching that, it was like, all right, why is this kind of happening? I guess is he supposed to be like a horn dog or something like that? And then now that I question that and know that, he kind of was like a horn dog.
Well,
Like, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying? So
I get it, but
I think that's maybe why. But
Well,
yeah,
yeah, bro, but yeah. I don't know.
I just think you have to handle it with like a little bit. You have to like kind of almost lean into like this is like blah. But even like the lighting was still like kind of like everywhere. Like, you know, it just tonally it still felt kind of like. And I don't know if it was intentional or if it was just it just happened to be. But like you had all the extras or whatever who were also hostages, and they were all just kind of.
yeah.
See, that's
I
my
can
other
get
thing
certain
about that.
pieces of it.
My other thing about that is really that I don't know. That scene is kind of crazy because you have all these gangsters in the basement. Just the
Mhm.
concept of it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And you got just a couple amateur, some kids, and some amateur like henchmen, right?
Yeah,
And
but what did Frank say?
you have all
Ain't
those
one trying to
gangsters
get
down
shot.
there.
Right?
Right, but they get shot anyway. But I'm just saying, if you all go together and fight those 4 people that were holding you down, like there was almost 100
Yeah,
people in that
I
basement.
agree with you, but it comes down to like, all right, they ain't going to shoot nobody unless we do that.
Yeah.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
guess.
Although
Yo,
to
let
be
me tell you
honest
something
with
real quick though. My favorite scene, Trey, was when that same dude went to go help homeboy with his landlord.
Oh yeah,
That's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
So,
bro,
because
that was my
it
favorite
kind
scene.
of goes into characters, so we might be segueing into that. But
Let's do it.
I thought it was a turning point for him, and it kind of was, I guess. That made me like his character. Gave me a little spark of interest in his character.
Because he plays by
when
street
stood up
rules,
to him.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. No other rules exist to him.
Of course, his character reminded me of my homie back in Lexington, Jeff. His character reminded me of Jeff. And you two laugh because y'all met him.
Jeff,
I was
bro.
like,
Man, he was wild.
I was like, that's Hefe right there.
Yo, he was wild, man.
But
before we go
going
into characters, let me do
Oh,
one more quick little scene. It was the
Yeah,
scene
tell us about
after the cops get there and they start interviewing everybody, and I busted out laughing when everybody's telling their story and whatnot. But then all of a sudden, there's one dude, and he goes, "Man, I ain't see shit."
That was funny. That was funny.
That had me laughing.
That was really funny. Yeah, there's always at least one dude.
They touched on the snitching thing several times pretty well in there to make it really relate to that era that you don't do
Bro,
that. It was
people
the
still don't
guy-
be talking to the police.
No,
they don't.
The dude was even the guy that we just mentioned. He was in the back seat of the car, and it was all over for him, and he still was like, "I ain't snitching." We probably go to prison. We'll see who gets what. You know. What I'm saying?
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna survive in there.
He's sitting right back there with Terrence Howard. He was like, yeah, they was having a conversation right before he got his brains blown out.
Yeah, and then that's how he got the end of that. But so that was his character. We'll go into
That was good.
characters.
That was a good way. Yeah.
And I want to start it off with the henchman, Frank's henchman. I wish they would have did more of a backstory to him. Why was he so loyal? Because just like you all even said, man,
Yeah.
Frank
Who?
said jump, he jumped.
You're talking about Lamar. When you went
Lamar.
away, we kind of talked about him again. That's who
was-
you
yeah.
went into. But no, you're on the same thing. Like I would like a backstory on why he's just like whatever he tells me to do, I'm gonna do without any hesitation.
Yeah,
I'm just going in.
Yeah.
I mean,
just a little
you
something.
can
maybe,
be loyal,
maybe.
but he was like beyond loyal. He was like
beyond
yeah.
loyal.
Maybe it's
And
his
I
son
ain't
or
never
something, bro.
There was never any money going in his pocket. There's no benefit.
he
from
was
anything
ready.
they were
He
doing
was
for
ready
him.
to die. Like Jake said, he was basically ready to die for Frank, whatever. Because
Yeah.
he was told, if you follow me, I'm gonna shoot you in the head. And Frank told him go, and he went.
Yeah, he did not even care.
Bro, you never know. Frank's from New York, man. He might have his mom tied up in a basement or something. Be like, bro, you gonna do everything I say, or you never know.
Dark shit.
So
You
as
never
we
know.
get to
He's a gangster.
characters, we if you've watched this and binged it with us, and we know the snake in the grass, the whole mastermind of all this, Terrence Howard's character. Um, how did y'all like his character and what it came to be, the backstory, his mom, all that stuff?
It was dope. I like the way that they introduced it. I like the way that he showed that he could be menacing without, even though he seemed to be quote unquote handicapped. Remember the baseball scene where he's at the batting cages?
That was one of my favorite scenes. I forgot about till you just said
that
something.
one was cool. It was really cool that he can show, that he can do harm without having to actually
didn't miss a single bat.
Yeah, right.
Switch
so
hitting too.
Right.
The switch was hard.
Yeah.
The switch was hard.
So I thought that scene was wild. So
and some heeled shoes. He was wearing
in the cowboy boots, boy. Boots. Yes,
well,
sir.
We kind of skipped it, and that's on me. The whole setup dining scene, which kind of sealed the fate for him and everyone else. How did y'all like that scene? That was we later find out it was all fake. Even from the walk-in, everyone there is all
they got me.
Man. Yeah,
they got me too.
They got me, and I was waiting for the double cross flip because it's a heist movie. I was waiting for it, and they still got me.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be literally the entire place was like fabricated, like not like just like we had a couple people planted in a microphone because that's once they come in to arrest them, I was like. Oh, they just had a microphone planted somewhere, but no, he's like literally set up an entire diner with pie.
Granny was pushing the microphone in a baby cart.
Yeah, exactly. They wasn't getting away with it.
That was a good scene. That was a really good scene.
There was also the little detail where she says to him, she's like, you're being so loud, and at first you're like, oh, sorry, Granny, but I was like, oh, he's blowing out the mic.
Popping the mic filter. Being too loud. Mic just popping.
Just bring it down. Yeah.
No, that was a good
I never
scene.
thought about that, Jay. That's funny.
Me neither.
I like how they go back too. Like, I know they did it multiple times. Like we said, we're following multiple different stories at one time. So it's hard to follow through one timeline. So they do reference from time to time. They take you back and then fill in where the other groups were at said time. So I like how they did that, the little flashbacks and bring
So
backs.
we kind of revealed after this setup, what was his name? It was something Black, wasn't it?
That's his last name, Black.
Yeah, that's his last name. He got a headshot.
Willie
Black.
Yeah,
Willie Black did not make it out of that setup because Frank Moten showed up, and I thought that was crazy though because he was caught, and then they show up to save him. He was already set on. He was double crossing them, and they showed up and saved him out of police custody. So that was crazy. But then as we talk about David Banner, Chris's favorite character. What about his death? What about his death scene? Do you remember it?
How did he die?
Barbershop, right?
Didn't they threw him in the? No, that was Silky. They threw in the river, right? How did they kill Missouri Slim?
He was
in the barbershop.
In the barbershop, it was a setup. So remember, he was.
Taraji slid that gun.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he was getting set up from the jump though, because they pretty much Terrence Howard's character.
He reached for the gun. Oh, you know what? I do remember that. You know what it reminded me of again, guys? Can anybody name it? Harlem Nights. When he reached for the gun underneath the thing and it wasn't there. Remember? That was another scene from Harlem Nights. When Richard Pryor reached for the gun.
They might have had a lot of inspiration from.
I think they did, bro. There's a lot of callbacks from that movie.
Yeah. I like
if that wasn't what it's from. It's just coincidence.
Yeah.
That scene right there kind of brings Vivian and Frank closer. You know what I'm saying? And as we see, they're starting to come closer and closer together. Where she's like, "Hey, let's be business partners." Chicken Man tried. I'm gonna try too. And but because she did that for him, basically, I don't even know if she did that for him. She did that. She shot him for herself,
She
and then
made a
she was
choice.
scared. She looked at Frank
Yeah.
like, "Hey, was I supposed to do that? Is that okay that I did that?"
Yeah.
And then they shoot the other guy, and then they're like, "Yeah, now you clean it up." So basically, like, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're
You're
good."
in. You're in this
Yeah.
now.
How I take it is she could have shot Frank and she chose not to. So that tells
That's
you
true. Yeah.
True.
right
Yeah.
there.
Hey, by the way, quick question on that. And Trey, I don't know if you were going to get to this at all, but it was something that was kind of like following me throughout the entire, series. Obviously, there was a dynamic between Vivian and Chicken Man's wife. I can't even think of her name.
Yeah.
Whatever her name was, the Christian lady, and the saved one. But what did you guys think about? Because obviously,
I liked it.
Yeah, you like
She
tell
kind of
me.
showed
Yeah.
her. It almost to me said like I have a pass when she pulled out the guns.
Oh yeah,
And she's like, it kind of said, I don't know. I guess it kind of showed how they were mutually the same for Chicken Man. Because remember, they both were willing to pull out a gun for
Mhm.
Chicken Man.
Yeah, that's true.
So they both had that in common. And I don't know. I liked it. I liked when she pulled out the shotgun and stuff. I was like, okay.
I think it's
That's
just another like different type of loyalty. Like so
Yeah.
Frank
Yeah.
and Lamar have that loyalty where, bodyguard, but um Gordon's wife, not Chicken Man, because he goes, that's his Christian name, and he made sure to
Gordon.
tell Vivian to call me by my Christian name, and then
Gordon
she says, "When'd you
Williams.
find the Lord?" But anyway,
Yeah, that was funny.
like
Mhm.
it shows a different loyalty. Like you love this person, and you know that they're doing some bad stuff behind your back, but you have a family with this person. You're willing to put aside some of the things that you don't approve of because you love that person so much.
Yeah. Is
Well,
that
I
it
mean-
kinda-
is that is that
it
is that the
kinda said- yeah, go on.
What was?
no? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say I felt like once she pulled out the guns, because what we knew about the other lady's character is that's what she was willing to provide for Chicken Man. It kind of leveled it out. Like, all right, so now his wife can provide the same thing. It's like you don't really have much. The only thing you had for Chicken Man was sex appeal at that point. You know what I'm saying? It kind of,
guess.
I feel like woke her up.
Did
That, like,
did you
okay,
did
Chicken
you all
Man
feel
ain't
like
really
there
mine.
was like a scene between Gordon and his wife, Chicken Man and his wife, that was like, because I felt like between Chicken Man and Vivian there was like this like real like rapport, there was like this warmth, there was like this passion, and I don't know if it just came down to the writing and how the actors work together, but I just don't remember like a moment where, yes, like the wife did stand up for Chicken Man and her family specifically to keep those guys like out of the house, but there was never like that scene I felt like between the two of them where it was like
I
she
felt like
just
he was
she-
scamming her, bro.
Not till the end.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
In
I
the
felt the
end,
same
when
way,
he
Jay.
comes in the taxi, that's
Yeah.
when you see some more like real intimate love between the two of those two. When he gets dropped off at the house with the
I would
Yeah,
say
taxi.
before
once
the
Vivian
taxi,
left
when-
him, basically.
when she was getting in the car and
Yeah.
it came to the famous motto of you don't know what you have until you lose it. At
Yeah.
that moment, and they had, I don't know how the dialogue went, but she scooted over and let him in the car. I think
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that, and there was, but I don't know. To me, that just felt very much like it just felt like very like a
Well, let's
resignation.
keep this family together because we got to. I understand, Jake.
That's
like,
what I'm
'cause
saying.
They validated the other relationship way before. Like they had the sex scene and all that stuff
Yeah,
before.
and
You know
they-
what I'm saying? With his
Yeah,
wife,
you
we
can-
never got any of that. at
Yeah,
all.
and with Vivian, it was very like even when she and Chicken kind of broke apart, like it was still like this like recognition from Vivian of just like, okay, like I see you've got something else, and obviously I'm not going to get that side of you. And I sympathize with that because when she was dealing with the wife, when they had those two together, like the wife was like essentially said like, I know what's going on,
Right.
but I'm not going to do anything, you know. And whereas Vivian was like, I know what's going on too, and I'm uncomfortable, and I see everything that you have, and I can't have that. And I was like, that's a way more like character, like like insight, as opposed to the wife who just almost was like an archetype to me. She was almost like, again, like you said, like, yep, we Well, we did our vows under the Lord, so
let's kick this can down the road.
yeah, Chicken Man can cheat, steal, lie, whatever he wants to do, but I'm gonna soldier on.
Let's bridge into the next character here. How about Vivian? I feel like her arc from the beginning to the end was really up and down, and she became a lot more key to the story than I thought she was gonna be.
So I'll tell you this about characters, and then Vivian goes in this. Vivian, kind of the three other like bosses and Terrence Howard, and then that might
also like grouped them.
Well, I'm grouping them in what I'm about to say. Sorry. So them, I felt like they were setting those characters up for like season 2, and then it completely threw me when I was like, "Oh, this is a limited series."
Yeah,
and I was thrown off with that.
And they started killing them off.
Yeah, I was like, "This ain't going nowhere."
Yeah.
No. But what they could do is they could do a backstory. They could do their stories before that point.
Right. I think there's a lot that they could do with Vivian for sure, because like all the stuff she's doing with the girls, where she kind of like pulls those girls together and like, hey, like
they already did a show. It's called P Valley.
But when she gets all those girls together and says we're gonna do the numbers ourselves because she needs to make money to pay old dude off because he said you owe me because you messed this up. Anyway, like I thought that was really cool how women empowerment there. We're gonna do this, but it kind of fizzled out a little bit. I think they could have done more with that. I did think it was funny though when they're like, I know how we're gonna make some money, and then they get all the old rich white men to start playing the numbers by using their sex appeal. So that was really a good scene there.
Works every time.
Right in the courthouse. So on the characters I want to talk about, we'll probably talk about them all at once because it all happened at once. Is the heist group. The heist group plus kind of the guy that was setting up the heist group. I forget his name. Willie. I hated that scene. I would say that might be the scene I kind of hated because the dude with the afro, I wanted to see him just get away.
He had the family. He pulled at your heartstrings. He has the daughter, and he wants to do better for his life. He was in jail, had a tough.
Plus,
he was trying to be a big bro, and I was like, man, once little kids started acting up, I was like, he's about to cause a problem. He's gonna get this dude killed. I already knew it. And
he was ethical.
It's my dark side of how I would write things and see things. I was kind of excited to see little man get what he deserved after shooting him.
I mean,
not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, because like
earlier.
Which
two? What are you talking about?
All right, they're at the final meetup. It's pretty much where they're all getting set up. Where Black and the other Willie guy, whatever y'all said his name was, they were gonna kill them. Loose ends.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
And young boy comes out and shoots Big Bro over because he felt like he was making a friend.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. I thought he was gonna shoot you. Yeah, well,
that
was weird how that went down, man.
Yeah, that was
weird. That dude.
That was very shocking and unexpected. That was.
He pulled that pistol.
So I guess it's good writing.
Pistol from the hip. He pulled the pistol from the hip and headshot him like that. I was like, they all could shoot, which was crazy.
Yeah. I do kind of wonder a little bit because there seemed to be, and again, like going back to some of like the themes that were kind of like handling things overall, and it seemed to be like. The people who, and that's kind of what I was talking about with like the strip scene or whatever, where it was like tonally, it was like a little strange because it's like, it seemed to be like there was like this like shit flows downhill kind of thing going on where it's like, like Chris, you said like Frank, you knew he was going to be fine. Like he's not dying.
Oh,
like Frank's fine. Like he's
once they let him walk out, he's good.
Yeah, he's a made man, and he was cool and collected the entire time. Whereas like, everybody else, like Lena and Lena and her brother, who commits suicide later on, or her cousin, I guess, who commits suicide later on. Like that was a situation where it's like, arguably they deserve to die the least during like the actual heist itself, and they got punished for it. And then you had the dude with the what was his name, Edmund, or I can't remember his name, but the dude with the afro who died, and he was actually ethical, and it was almost like in my mind, and maybe I'm overcomplicating a little bit, but it seemed like there was like a theme of like, Trey, you would kind of mention in the first episode of like black on black violence. Like there's like this impact on the actual community, like the actual people, and not on like the crime boss, right? Not on the cop, not on the crime boss, not on the senator, not on any of these people who are above that, untouchable.
So something, since you kind of sparked my mind to it, when Frank Moten and Hudson were in the back of the car, and I guess her character's name's Vivian, she was driving.
Yeah.
That's where I thought it was about to introduce how like the series season 2 or something was going to go.
Yeah.
Like these two. I thought that was introducing something.
I could see it.
They left something open-ended for them as well, because like after one of the last scenes they said, I wrote down, and he's talking about going back to New York or something like that, and I forget what the true interaction is, but he says, "Are you threatening me?" Hi. He's he said, Frank says, "Are you threatening me again?" And then Hudson says, "I am." And then Frank goes, but you know, I can't say this word.
He said, he was pretty much like, I like that. Like, I thought, I don't know. There still could be a spinoff. You don't know.
I liked them, man. Yeah. I liked all those characters.
Yeah,
they didn't really give us much with Mushmouth though, or the other dude, the butcher.
Yeah. Comedy.
I wanted the butcher to show up and do more.
Right.
Real quick on him, one of his things when they were talking about trying to find out who robbed them, he said a one-liner that I don't know if you guys caught. I remember we were talking about how he might be, you know, a cannibal, right?
Yeah, I think he's a cannibal.
I wrote this down.
I'm pretty sure.
Where is it? He said, "I want my pound of flesh."
Yeah.
You all know that that's like an actual like saying. I looked it up because I was typing it in
the Bible,
and it
auto like a Bible term. Yeah.
I don't know, but I screenshot it. It says it's an idiom that means someone is demanding something they're entitled to, but the punishment is so severe that it seems more like revenge. So it's just funny how they played that line also to his character, because we think he's a cannibal anyway. So he said something kind of interesting, but it was cool finding like little hidden references like that.
I want to highlight a character before we go on to anything else. Probably the last thing here. One character I want to highlight is the uncle that ran the car shop that was a fence. I like that guy as an actor a lot.
Prison Break, baby.
Shout out Prison Break. Yep.
He's good.
Yeah. And then, he was just like, that's the uncle you want in that situation. Said, hey, take your come up, take this ticket, and get.
And if I see you here in the morning, I'm going to kick your ass myself. I said, he was not playing around, man.
He killed that little co-star in Row for sure.
He did, man. That was
we
crazy.
didn't even talk about we didn't even talk about his nephew that much. I guess he didn't really.
He did really good. He did really good.
Mm-hmm.
The getaway driver. Yeah, he did a good job.
Oh yeah, he was good. Yeah.
All the heist characters were great.
They were all cast well.
I enjoyed everybody, but it was good.
I think he might have been my favorite one. I think he was my favorite one.
He died first, so you kind of forget about him because he didn't make it towards the end of this.
His name was Melvin or something, wasn't I think? No, that was
Trey. It was Trey.
That was his name. That's his real name. Is Melvin. Melvin something.
All right. So going into
what are you doing, man?
Final thoughts. What did y'all think overall, man? I'll go on and start since I usually go last or whatever.
Go first.
I liked it overall, except for it being a limited series. I kind of wanted it to go on, but I think it was good dialogue. It was shot good. It was in the era. Everything was great from me. I really enjoyed it. I mean, we binged it. Me and Anna loved it too. We binged it all the way through. There wasn't anything that was like, I kind of want to stop watching or anything. It was just entertaining all the way through for me. So
it's easy to watch all of it.
Yeah. I will say, it was good writing, good twist, even how it connected. Because I like to do this myself. It connected that first thing that we saw to almost the last thing. We have Kevin Hart not knowing does he die this way? And then it gets revealed that he doesn't. It was Frank
Right.
Moulton being very. It kind of highlighted that Frank was very intelligent with
Mm-hmm.
being in this organization. But anyway, I liked it. I give it a 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Okay.
But
Uh,
take it away, Corey.
All right. I enjoyed it. I had fun watching it. I kind of binged the whole season between yesterday and this morning. So it was fun to put it all together in one piece. But I I I like the era of the film. Like I like the 70s kind of
Mm.
deal. And they played it well. You know, they matched the era up well, which is pretty easy when you already have two real characters that lived through this film. But I enjoyed the actors. They all did a great job. I'll give it a 8.5.
Okay.
I guess I'll go. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it as like a. I think I liked it a little bit more as a binge because it was almost like watching like one really long heist movie. To be honest with you, which kind of it made it flow, a lot better as opposed to like watching it like week over week or something. I think I would have had a hard time like kind of hopping in and out of it. I think it has to be kind of watched almost in like chunks or binged, in my opinion. I enjoyed it. Like every single time I started to kind of get like a little bit bored or something like that, like where I felt like something like serious wasn't happening. Like it still kept me entertained and the performances were still there. The only thing that I kind of wanted out of it, especially since it was a limited series and especially because it was, based around a true story, given the quality of the cast and that it was a limited series, I think they could have raised the stakes just a little bit. I think that you could have found, and I'm not saying that like the stakes weren't there. I mean, obviously people died and all that, but that just kind of seemed like it was like it got washed away and just kind of like that. It was almost like they couldn't quite decide whether they wanted this to be super lighthearted in like a stylistic kind of series, which they did, or if they wanted this to be like seriously dramatic and hard hitting with like a girl getting executed in the woods and a striptease and things like that. So I like it. It's enjoyable. I think that like, the quality of it is very high. So I'll say a 7.5, but I just think that there was an opportunity to kind of hammer home, a couple of those moments or a couple of those characters to like really give them a more serious kind of real world kind of arc to them that would have been, I don't know, more long lasting, more impactful.
Yeah, I can see that. What do you rank it?
He said 7.5.
7.5.
Oh, 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it got on IMDb. Before Chris goes, I will point out this is pretty dope. It's gotten ranked 10 out of 10, 40% of its rankings, which is over 1,000. And then the closest to that was 8 out of 10, 20%. So I mean, it's getting some good.
It's pretty
some good
high
marks.
rated.
That deserves it.
Yeah. So Chris, what's your final thoughts on it?
I'll give a quick one. I thought it was definitely binge worthy. I agree with Jake. It was one of those things where you got to watch it, I think, in one sitting. It's not one that, because that happened to me where I watched the first episode and then I ended up watching like the next 2 or 3 and I didn't like it. I would have much rather sat down and just watched it all at once, like you said. But it was really good. The cast was good. It was funny. I think I give it a 9.5 out of 10. And only reason why I'm not giving it a 10 is because, like you, I wish it was longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's our final thoughts on Fight Night $1 Million Heist. It's binge worthy to say the least. So go check it out.